So I chose the IB mainly because it provides a really good, like, kind of holistic style of education. It, especially trying to, narrow my A-level choices down to only 3 options, it was a bit restrictive. And I had all these ideas formulating in my head, whether I wanted to do, English, maths, Latin, Italian, politics, and it all comes together under the IB, and it gave me a really, really good way out of this kind of difficult situation that I find myself in. And I think it provides me just a really good kind of varied, education as a whole.
I couldn't really decide on 3 A-levels. There were so many subjects that I was enjoying at GCSE, and I wasn't quite prepared to drop them all because I didn't know where I wanted to go in life, exactly on like uni courses or even jobs. So there were things like languages and artistic sides of things that I was interested in, but I didn't know if I wanted to fully put myself into doing an A-level on that subject, but I definitely didn't want to lose them as an opportunity.
I picked the IB mainly because I don't think I would have been able to pick just 3 A-levels. I really like the idea of being able to carry on with 6 subjects rather than just do 3. And also one of the key driving factors for me was I was dead set that I wanted to do Italian in 6th form, and Italian A-level wasn't an option anymore. So keeping up in the IB was really important for me. But yeah, I want to go into law later on, so I think having as wide a base of knowledge as possible is important.
I'm really interested in going to university in Europe, whether that's the Netherlands in Amsterdam or Leiden or The Hague or in Geneva. And I always really wanted to do the global politics course at IB specifically. At A-level, it seems a bit more boring and a bit more UK-based, but it's complete global politics and it's all the core concepts of that. And so I really just enjoy that. Then having the variety has been quite nice as well in most respects. I couldn't narrow down my A-levels to just 3. There were 4 really key subjects I wanted to do, and so I could do that with IB.
It's not quite what I expected. I didn't realise there was like a CAS element where there's a lot of kind of writing up your personal growth and development through the experience, but I mean, it's not bad. But otherwise, I was knew what was happening.
A lot of it's what I've expected. I really, really enjoy my higher levels. Politics has been everything I've wanted it to be and more really. History has been a lot better than I expected. Latin's been really hard, but I'm progressing in it and I think I'm getting better and it's still enjoyable. And then I got to continue drama, which has been really fun. I've really just enjoyed that. Then the others are just the others. There's not much pressure on them, so it's quite nice to just have it there.
I think there are certain elements of the IB that are more difficult. So I feel like to start with, understanding CAS was quite difficult and kind of getting to grips with the CAS project and understanding the exact requirements for that. I think also Latin has been quite a challenge, just because it's such a step up from GCSE. It's quite a jump, but no, it's definitely, it's a good challenge, definitely. It's not too difficult. It's sort of a more independent working environment, I think, than GCSE, which I'm fond of. So it's challenging, but a nice challenge, definitely.
Maths has been a challenge. Maths itself was definitely a compromise. I don't really enjoy maths. But it's been fine. It's a standard level for me. It's just a lesson that I turn up to, I do the work, and it's good enough for what it needs to be, and then I leave, and it's fine. I can enjoy my higher levels for the rest of the stuff.
It's a lot of work. I can tell you that straight off the bat. It's quite a lot of work. There's each day is different. So my Monday has essentially completely different subjects to my Friday, and I find that both a challenge because you have to juggle all these. It's a bit like GCSE, if I'm honest, in the sense that you've got different subjects that are going around your head, and you kind of have to fit that all in. but at the same time, it's actually quite freeing, because I think you could argue that you get into a repetitive cycle of the same subjects every day when you only have 3, but with 6, plus theory of knowledge. You have such a wide variety of what you can do in the week. It makes each week just feel that little bit more kind of fresh. And you have quite a lot more, again, variety in your week, and it just makes it feel quite a lot nicer.
I'm part of the CAS project planning. There's 5 stages of planning, and the first one is kind of identifying your strengths and identifying a problem that you could help tackle. So I'm fluent in Polish and in English, obviously. And when I was talking to my uncle, he was telling me that my cousin isn't enjoying her English lessons in her school in Poland very much. So I thought that it would be really nice if I could teach her some English regularly over Zoom or Teams or whatever worked. And then when I kind of looked further at the CAS project, I realized that that would be something that would be really nice to do, because it was kind of meaningful for me and the people around me, and it was definitely a sort of global problem that I'd be able to help of people, you know, trying to learn English and finding it difficult. And I think helping with that in any way is nice. So yeah, it was definitely, I saw the problem and I thought I could help, so yeah.
We've started our CAS project itself, like the central part of it. And so me and a group of the other politics students are setting up a branch for Amnesty International in the school, which, you know, Amnesty International is all about justice and liberty, and it feels like quite an IB thing itself. It kind of goes with the core tenets of it, and so I just think it's quite a fun thing to do.
I'd definitely say, so in terms of having a lot of work, you definitely develop a lot of time management skills. You know, you've got 6 subjects, and then, you know, this term we've got the E and our internal assessments. There is a lot to focus on. There's a lot to kind of, you know, try and study for and work for. But in terms of, you know, how we manage our time, it has become easier, but the workload has increased, which is annoying, but that's part of the IB. And you get, you know, your holidays to rest and to work. At least that's how I use them, and I think it's really important to see them as kind of having this dual responsibility to of course rest and sleep, but also to catch up on some of the things you might have missed, or to work on something like your extended essay.
Maths has gone a lot better. Any worry I had about that's kind of dissipated. It's become a lot easier just with how it's taught and getting used to how IB do things. Really, there's been a lot less struggles, and the stuff I was already doing well and has just gone even better. Getting used to how IB do their essay structure and everything has just really helped, and it's just been like I've settled into how it all works, and now it's just a case of learning the content without any actual issues.
I couldn't decide on which kind of area I wanted to go, like whether it be scientific, geography, but now I've been able to go the art route with still keeping a bit of geography in it. So it's taken some pressure off doing a full art-based extended essay, but I can still keep it going, which has been really good for me.
There's definitely a sense of community within our cohort. I think there's a general kind of supportiveness between all of us, especially within classes, obviously. If we're all working on our essays and things like that, or notes and things like that, there's definitely a sense of kind of camaraderie and helping each other out. I think that's definitely a really nice element of the IB. And the fact that there's not too many of us taking it currently as well makes it feel like a closer group between all of us. And last night we had a bonding session with the D block that are taking it next year, so we can have kind of support between the year groups. And yeah, I'm academic levy now, so we're planning on implementing like a buddy system or support system between next year 20 and lower 20 students who are taking the IB for help with things like theory of knowledge and CAS and the extended essay, things that are particular to the IB and that you wouldn't encounter with the A-levels.
Been very lucky to receive the position of deputy head boy. I mean, it's a very nice position to get, or to be assigned. I'm really grateful to the school for it, and in terms of how this might link with the IB, I think it absolutely, the IB helps in kind of delivering a perspective on everything, because you do constantly have to think about the connections between different subjects or between different, key aspects. And it's quite like a macro lens, like quite a macro kind of curriculum. And I think, at least I'd hope, that helps in any leadership roles, whether it's head of school, deputy head of school, leve position, or even head of a co-curricular club. It will help with everything, because you do get to see kind of the nature of how everything is connected, how everything is interlinked. So it is, somewhat useful in that aspect. Probably actually balanced it too far to the holiday side. So it meant that when I came back, I was pretty inundated with work. Like the first half term was pretty rough, as it goes in terms of work. Still interesting work. It's just, it was very intense, I'd say, especially with coursework. But I think what I've taken away from the experience is that obviously it's very important to get a holiday, and I got a pretty good holiday. But I think if I were to do it again, I would spend more time doing my extended essay and getting a bit more coursework done.
I've been told that it sets us up well for uni. Like writing our essays and our IAs, they're like, you're going to be glad that you learn how to do this now, so it's not all such a shock. Like citing and finding all the right information and all of that kind of stuff, and how to set out a proper essay has been good to learn at school, where you can kind of fall at the hurdles and it's never a drastic issue.
Well, I'm still waiting on my first choice, which is LSE, but I've heard back from University of London, St Andrews and Manchester. And they're all pretty solid offers, they're all achievable. So it's quite motivating, I guess, to know that there's actually somewhere to go after this. So
I think it does feel like quite a lot of work, especially I think the advent term of 20, when a lot of coursework kind of deadlines are coming in and it's all starting to pile up. It definitely feels quite overwhelming. But I think that's the nature of the IB, that you work harder over the year, but that means that when I'm coming up to my exams, I don't feel the same amount of pressure, same amount of stress that I think the A-level students do, because I've already bagged about anywhere between 15 to 25% of my grade before I even sit them, and so that means that if you work really, really hard in this kind of set period of time, revising your content as well as doing your coursework to a pretty good standard, then you're going to have a really, relatively easier time in your exams.
I think everyone overestimates how bad having like so many exams in such a short period of time is, because really it's like you do one in the morning, have a couple of hour break, do one in the evening, and then have the rest of the evening to yourself. Like it's not that bad. You get it done quickly and then it's all over.
Well, I haven't got my results yet, and I don't know how well my IAs have gone, because essentially that's the difference between the workload with A-level and IB, is that you're working the whole way through because you're doing coursework. So hopefully those have been done to a high standard, and then it will be worth it, because it will mean that my grade is higher in the end.
It is harder than A-levels. I don't think it's helpful to pretend it isn't. I don't think anyone pretends it isn't. But when you get to especially this point, like watching all of my friends who do A-levels do this massive revision, and we've done like 30% of most of our courses in the coursework and stuff, and we've got down to most of the detail in most of the subjects. Like it is hard work. You work hard, but that's because it's then a lot easier at the end of it, in comparison to a massive just cramming of so much at A-level. They're both hard. The grass isn't always greener, but it is hard. It's a lot of work. But if you're capable of it and it's stuff you want to do, then I don't see why it's a bad thing.
I think a thought that is relatively prevalent among the cohort is that there's always going to be a time where you feel really stressed and really kind of overwhelmed, especially if you don't manage your time very well, like I do, rather like I don't. And it meant that I was very stressed and relatively disorganized, which aren't a very good combination, because I'd procrastinate a lot. So there's always a time that kind of happens to varying degrees, but at that moment it's probably very easy to think, oh, what if I just did A-levels? But I don't think that's necessarily a good thought to have, because I mean you're completely in the thick of it, and it's like when you're in the kind of freezing cold and you say, oh, I wish I was in the Sahara Desert because it'd be boiling. They're it's two extremes, and the A-level lot, don't worry, will definitely feel that stress at some point. You're all going to go through it together. So as much kind of difficulty as you'll go through, remember why you chose the IB. Remember, actually that this is a course that is going to be really good for you. You chose it for a reason, and it will give you quite a lot, and it will give you as much as you give it. I think that's probably quite a crucial thought, which, having gone through that stressful period, I kind of look back and think I wish I had kind of reflected on why I chose the IB in the first place.
I know a couple A-level people who would have liked to have done the IB in hindsight. I like what I do. I wouldn't have changed anything. I like doing the 3 at a much higher level, and then the 3 at quite a nice level. It's all quite, I don't know, I wouldn't change it.
I know, already got a holiday booked for 2 days after my last exam.
Yeah, it's definitely different. I mean, all your other friends who are doing A-levels, at least